Hi, welcome back to my garden. Here we are, the first episode for 2024. Rather exciting sort of number. Just for those of you who like multiples, we have 20, 24, multiples of 4, a leap year. We get an extra bonus day thrown in, which I always think is quite nice. 29th of February, just shakes things up a little bit. And it does, as I say, for me, it promises to be a wonderful year. I hope it does for you too. I do look at these numbers and they sort of, as you get used to writing a new number, I guess you have to concentrate a little bit more. And it just directs the mind to just think about the number in and of itself. And one of my first sort of mental driftings, as I've written down a few times, 2024, is being struck by the fact that it is nearly a quarter of a century since the turn of the millennia. I remember how that number, when I was a kid growing up, 2000, seemed to be so far away and promised so much, a sort of portentous science fiction kind of moment. The world will be so different. But of course, when I was a kid in high school, primary school, we were 20 years away from that. And now we're 24 years past it. And that's, something that just strikes me when I write the number down. I think, isn't that incredible how, the passage of time. Maybe I think about that because I'm getting older, as of course we all are. We are all getting older. But as one moves comfortably into your 50s and beyond, you start just seeing these numbers and years maybe in a slightly different sort of way. One thing I haven't done as the year kicked off is New Year's resolutions. I've thought about them a little bit because there's always a lot of content floating around in my YouTube feed at this point, stuff about different angles, productivity, why people don't stick to New Year's resolutions, what to do about that. One interesting idea was someone suggested that since they are inevitably doomed to failure, very frankly quite a ridiculous idea, there's a different way of thinking about them, and that is instead of having New Year's resolutions, this content creator came up with the idea of a New Year's theme. And eventually it became not so much a New Year's theme, it's a seasonal theme, sort of shifting around in quarters rather than annually. But the idea is, for example, if you make 2024 the year of health, that becomes a sort of, a focus in a sense, but more than that, it becomes a criteria, a sort of artificial prompt that before making a decision, you can apply and say, is this going to benefit my year of health? Now, the difficulty in doing that is obviously what will make you actually do the artificial prompt. You need a prompt for the prompt. And I became very aware of this just before, a week or so ago, just before the turn of the year. I've had a number of small internet dilemmas to solve. And being without internet access just monumentally shifts the way I work in the day. The day when the internet actually went down, the first time, it's a cable problem, it was just incredible how I got stuck into working on my chess book project. And of course, with nothing else to distract me, I didn't get distracted, and I had a wonderful day. And that carried on for a few days, and then we got the internet back, only for the plug to explode. And then it didn't actually explode, it just broke ever so slightly. It seems to be a delicate thing, the adapter for the Wi-Fi router plug thing. So a small bit of plastic breaks off and it just doesn't work anymore. Anyway, there was no going back because it was that holiday period. So, and now a long way away. So we just decided to make do with what we could. And again, no internet. Remarkable. And what is particularly remarkable is how it shifted my own sense of well-being. And it did remind me that a lot of the stuff that I do, that I enjoy, just doesn't actually do me much good, really. And by saying do me much good, I mean not in the sense of it's not very productive, but it's just not very nice, actually, or not something that I really get all that much out of. Yeah. For example, I swapped for a few days watching countless talking head sort of punditry about football. I just stopped watching those. And every now and then I'd go into the garden and look at a hummingbird or something like that. Well, did I enjoy it more? I did. I really did. Now, so far, 4 days in, I've been pretty good at avoiding the sort of platforms that feed my news anxiety, whether it's world news or sporting news. Frankly, I loved being a football fan. I've got all sorts of wonderful stories, and I still enjoy watching football. But I don't want to be a football fan anymore. Now, my wife would say, but Neil, then just don't watch football. Just don't read those news feeds. But it has become a sort of reflexive action, an itch that I scratch, a thing that if it's there available, your hand reaches out and you just pick it up, a bit like if you have a large bowl of rather tasty biscuits on your kitchen table. I'm getting into James Clear atomic habit territory here. You know, the idea of shifting your sort of the architecture of your house can be a vital way of changing habits. You know, placing obstacles in the consumption of things that you don't want to consume anymore makes you a little bit more deliberate and gives you enough time to ask yourself the question, in the year of using my time well, would I watch that video if that were my annual theme? So if you can create the space, well then you've got a sporting chance of actually implementing or leveraging the question and making the change you seek to make. But it is very difficult to do that. As a chess player, if you ask yourself rather diligently, rather pedantically, in your mind, or if it's a game that you're playing online, it could be out loud. If you ask yourself after every single move of your opponents, why did he do that? What was his purpose? You seriously ask that question. It may well improve the game that you're playing. Now I know that, but I still don't do it. It's about making it a habit. I mean, the reason it's important to ask yourself that question is, if not, you get drawn by your own shiny little thoughts and you go off on a sidetrack and get lost in the woods. Don't really pay attention to the fact that your opponent was threatening imminent checkmate. You ignore that because you just didn't think about it. You didn't look for it. So it's making those kind of prompts, I guess, part of a sort of our thinking makeup, and then eventually making them happen below the surface. Grandmasters, kind of as a rule, well, they've trained themselves to do that sort of thinking. Perhaps we can train ourselves to make interesting decisions before we do the wrong thing and just focus on doing the right thing. Because I think that really is what I want to do this year, if I'm being truly honest. I've got a list of activities that I know I enjoy doing. I know why I'm doing them. I think they're worthwhile. I actually think they'll be of benefit to other people, not just me. And I think I will enjoy doing them more than the things that just drag me into a mire of self-indulgence that very quickly leaves me not feeling very good. I want to overstate the case. Watching reruns of British comedy on YouTube it's harmful and it's not bad, but it doesn't really do anything for me. So I want to kind of wean myself a little bit of those things. Easier said than done. But another of the points that I think that came out of the idea of the annual theme is that it's not about setting yourself up for failure. It's just saying, this is the direction I want to move in. And as long as I'm moving in that direction, well, it's a fine thing. Those kind of very iron-clad, those very brutal resolutions. I will do this every day. And partly these things are doomed to failure because most of us are just not like that. And so you miss it once, you miss it twice, and then you just give up and leave it, push it to one side until next year when you can roll out the whole farce one more time. So no farces. That's not a resolution, but just a good way of living. You know, if you sense that, that's not really going to work because it never did in the past and nothing has changed. Why would I think that it would be different this time? Well, it's not going to be different. I guess from this whole video, you've sensed it's been a bit of a circling around a point. But again, I just thought, well, like last week, I want to make a video. I think I'll probably, when I re-watch this before uploading it, I think I'll probably agree with what I've said and think it's reasonably worthwhile thoughts. It's not going to shake the internet. It's not going to go viral. It's not going to make me loads of money. But none of those things, as interesting as they might be, potentially life-changing, they're not actually things that I'm out there looking for right now. I want to stick to, my sculpture, my chess projects, the rather gentle life that I want to live here in my little sunny garden in the northeast of Brazil, and that's just fine. What this video has done is just kept the streak going. Another week, another video. And that's a good thing, just like Lost. So that's it. I hope the new year rolled round in a suitably joyful way for you. And I trust that it brings you wonderful things in this slightly longer year of 2024. And sunny Brazil, ciao.